brother, like I said, there's another thing that I lay a hardcore belief to. See, I don't really like that belief.
So you don't believe in nothing?
I don't really like that belief. I don't like being in the realm of believing. I'd rather be more in the realm of knowing.
Or knowing?
If it's possible.
Okay, but for you to know it, right, you have to trust in some documentation that you read that another man wrote, right?
That's true.
Okay, so the whole argument of trying to invalidate this book, the whole argument of trying to invalidate this book based off men writing it is foolish. We believe so many things that men write in our entire lives, and all of a sudden when it comes to this book or God, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Stop it. Stop it. It's foolish. It's foolish. It's only for people. I'm gonna tell you, my sister, I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of our people that have some type of art against the word of God or art against the Bible, some discrepancy, is because a lot of them lack discipline in their life. I'm gonna be honest. Because this book right here, if you follow it and you read and you follow it to a T, it requires you to live a very strict and disciplined life. Brother, a lot of us don't like to do that. What's your name, my brother?
My name is Jim.
Jim? Jim. Okay, my brother Jim. Now we hear that often a lot, as far as a lot of our people. It's like they call it some internal conflict on how they deal with the Bible or what they think about the Bible, because we make the assumption that, well, you know, we learned this in slavery, so the white man gave it to us, must be a white man book. You know what I'm saying? But we typically don't do no further research on figuring out what this book actually is. Matter of fact, majority of us, I'm gonna be honest, majority of us haven't read this cover to cover to make a judgment on it. We just talk. You see what I'm saying? We like to say, oh, it's a white man's book, it's a white man's that. But it ain't. This book been around way before these Europeans started colonizing anything. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so the people who authored this book are described as a people of color. This is their history records. So, you know, for us to have that thought process like, well, it's a white man book, he gave it to us. No. I would say, what I will say though is, when we came over in this side of the world, they reintroduced it to us and put their spin on it for sure. Has this book been weaponized against us or used as a weapon? Absolutely. But does that now all of a sudden invalidate the contents of it? Like, somebody could take a biography of you, something that you've written, and I could take it years down the line after you die and make it a Dr. Seuss book if I want to, and get people to believe it. But that don't invalidate whether this book is actually an autobiography of you or not. You see what I'm saying? So if we're gonna make judgments on what this book is, who it's for, and who it's about, guess what we gotta do? We gotta read it. We gotta read it to be able to make the decision on where we gonna stand on, make that determination or draw that conclusion about what it's about. But we ain't read it. We ain't got no business to make no type of conclusion about it or judgments. Everything is just hearsay or speculation. You listen to somebody else, and at that point, your opinion ain't your own. You just listen to somebody else speak. Exactly. Give me Isaiah. You got that? Read.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. Because
the stats show that 80% of whether or not you subscribe to the book or not, I'm pretty certain your parents probably do. Why? Because the stats show that 80% of Negroes in this country, blacks, whatever term you like to subscribe to, they believe in some form of Christianity. Which Christianity as a religion, read this book, believe it or not. So all of us, when we have, if you believe in a concept of a one God, you know what I'm saying, that's the creator of all things, whatever, 9 times out, and you live here, 9 times out of 10, that origin comes from your parents instilling something with this book into you, and that's why you subscribe to that.
Well, would you agree with me that will never be known by us?
What's your
For the truth of how everything was created.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. How you doing, my sister? I want you to come up as well. I wouldn't say that. Because I subscribe to this book. And the reason I do, give me Deuteronomy 28. And the point the brother was making earlier is that we see in this book what you already agreed to. you said that this book is definitely older than the colonization that took place by the Europeans across the globe.
Oh, yeah,
The contents, correct. The contents of this book is older than that. And if we can say that, then this is something that we gotta be able to reconcile by what's going to be written. I mean, what's going to be read. Deuteronomy 28, and watch this. Read verse 15, and we're going to read 64.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15.
It says, I want you to listen as well, because what we getting ready to go over show how this book has a direct implication on how we got to this side of the world. This history that we know is true, that we know it took place to our ancestors not too many generations ago, right? It was actually documented or prophesied to take place in the Bible, right? Watch this.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
See, we gonna have to. Did you catch what was read? Nope.
I've already know about that whole Deuteronomy.
Okay, so what is it? So dang. Okay, don't let me go through this whole spiel. So tell me what it's about.
I know that's one. You know.
He say that's y'all favorite one.
Okay, so
Yeah, tell me
are y'all
about
Hebrew Israelites or just Israelites?
You just say Israelites.
So y'all not Hebrew Israelites. Okay, just ask. I was just asking.
I mean, you can say it.
I mean, I was.
None of us speak the language, so we just say Israelites. You know. But so if you're already aware of these things, so tell me about it.
Old and new, y'all subscribe to both.
Yes, sir. Tell me about it. Deuteronomy 28. I want you to know about it so far.
He said tell you about it.
Yeah, you said you already know that
I mean,
stuff.
go ahead, bro. Do your thing, bro.
I'm trying to get a baseline so I know I ain't
okay, bro.
covered.
I got like 2 or 3 questions, brother.
I got questions for you. That's what I'm asking.
I mean, go ahead and do your thing. My question gonna go a little bit. I think they gonna go a little bit deep. They gonna hit a little hard.
I don't mind getting to them.
They might be foreign. They might not be foreign.
So what's documented in Deuteronomy that we getting ready to read that you're aware of? That's what I'm saying.
Before we deal with Deuteronomy, right? Can you?
We gotta deal with Deuteronomy first, because I don't want to. Because the sister here, I want to make sure she up to speed as well. Because she may not know what me and you both know.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Talk to the sister. Come talk to the sister.
Come on, man. So okay, so do you know about what we getting ready to read in Deuteronomy? Yeah or nay?
I might. I gotta hear you first.
Okay, bet. All right, that's all I want. You said yeah. All right, read it again.
But the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
What we were reading, just to kind of bring us up to speed, is this is Moses speaking to those same people that the Lord told him, gave him directions to free out of Egypt. We familiar with that history because that's what Moses is famous for. Parting that Red Sea, telling Pharaoh let his people go, because in Egypt these people served as slaves, right, in that land. So what we're reading here in Deuteronomy takes place in the wilderness after those events. We hearing Moses giving his people an ultimatum from God, saying, hey, these commandments I'm giving this man Moses to teach y'all can make a decision to do them, or y'all can make a decision not to do them. But just understand, if you make a decision not to do them, there's consequences for it, just like it is in everything else in life, right? God makes it that way. Now what we're getting ready to read is a description of one of those consequences that the Bible describes. What we're reading here describes as a curse. Now I just want y'all to listen to it and see if it sounds familiar for anything that we've learned growing up, whether it's in school or Sunday school or whatever. Just see our history class. Watch, 64.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So if we are a little bit familiar with geography, just a little bit, if they just took place, or they just left the land of Egypt, that land mass, that's Northeast Africa right here. You see me, sister? It's Northeast Africa where they just left. They're right in this region right here, in this little tiny little crack at the top of Northeast Africa. Now, if they getting a warning from Moses if, hey, you decide you don't want to keep these commandments, that the Lord is going to scatter you from one side of the earth unto another side of the earth amongst all people, like what would be the other side of the earth if they're already here? If they are already on this side of the earth, what's the other side?
United States.
Huh?
The Americans.
So there we go. You got certain land masses that's further east, which if this sign right here is a depiction or an image of where we went during the transatlantic slave trade, right? You had some slave traders take us further east, some going to Europe. A lot of them went to the western side of the world, right? And when we got there, what ended up happening? Did we retain our culture and our beliefs? No, we did not. But we picked up whose beliefs? The people.
Now, we're a script of everything.
Right, huh?
We're a script of everything. Including our natural tongue. We was the script of our belief. We were script of everything.
Yes. And guess what? That's literally what we just read. Watch. Read it again.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
That's why you can find black people dang near everywhere you go. You see us in the islands. You see us in Europe. You see us back in Africa. You see us over here. No matter where you go, you see a people that looks just like us, because we were taken in place everywhere to build up every nation. But these events that we learn about and we've been seeing our whole life is not by no coincidence. These things were foretold to take place in the future by our ancestors thousands of years ago. Right, so what we living in, our reality, our history, is a direct result of what? Bible prophecy. Which makes what?
Brother, we was the first explorers. Now, we explored this whole globe before that book. We was already.
I hear you, but that's the only thing about it is, if you could just pull up any like sources for what you're saying, that would be great. I'm not gonna say it ain't true. It probably is, but I would like to see some documentation on it, because what a lot of our people do, we'll watch a YouTube video, and then all of a sudden we put on some glasses. We smart now. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of us do.
Do you not believe that though?
I had to see what you're saying.
We explored before we were the first explorers. Do you not believe that?
First explorers, I don't know. Explorers, yes.
I see you, cameraman.
You see what I'm saying? Explorers, yes. First, I don't know. You gotta have documentation for it. I ain't gonna, unless I got some documentation for it, I ain't gonna say.
So with your documentation, all your proof come out that book right there?
No, you can use
documentation outside
for sure. For sure. For sure. This is a primary source, but yeah, you got a lot of historical sources you can use.
That King James book as a primary source.
Absolutely. And what's the problem with it?
That's the question, brother.
I mean, you saying it in a way as if you got an issue with it.
Hey, man. I ain't got no issue. I just said you're going to use that as a primary source.
They believe that that word is alive and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword.
Read the next word.
Verse 65.
Yes, sir.
Verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give you there a trembling heart, and a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
So not only did the Bible describe that this race of people, the Israelites that Moses took out of Egypt, that their descendants in the future time would be scattered from where they're native from to other land masses, but when they get to these places, that they would not have rest. They would not have ease. They would constantly be working. They will have a constant state of fear, depression, sorrow, right? I don't know about you, but it sounds very close to this experience right here. So the big point of all this is to show that if Moses is speaking to the sons of Jacob, the sons and daughters of Jacob, and warning them what would take place with disobeying God, and we see the actual byproduct of that being this history here, then what important information should you walk away with understanding now? Like what conclusion can we draw? if the fulfillment of God's word when he prophesied this is on these people, which you know to be our ancestors, then that makes us who? That makes us who, my brother Jim? Yes, sir. I said if what we're reading is Moses speaking to the sons and daughters of Jacob, right? A prophecy about what will happen to them in a latter time. And we see the fulfillment of that, or the descriptions, look like they lining up with this right here. Or the fulfillment of it lining up with this right here. These events that we've learned. Then what does that make, who does that make us? As far as a ethnic group or a race.
Use the word fake. Did you say fake?
No, I said, what does that make us as an ethnic group or a race?
See, I'm looking at
Outcast.
You said outcast? I agree with that. I agree with that word. But as far as the name of a nation, what nation can we say that we descend from out of the Bible?
Well, according to all the diverse people that were brought here, put together, I'm here to hear you. I like to listen.
Okay.
I want to hear what you got to say. Because to me, I don't know if there's even a name for it. Either we're going to all be one, everybody, all those slaves, everybody is going to be one, or we will be separate. We got to have a name. We'll be separate people.
Well,
That's just me in a nutshell, just coming quickly off the top of
well, when we read the Bible, if we believe the Bible, right, we see when the Lord have these nations or these families come into play, they have their own distinct land masses and names for their people. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. The Lord puts distinctions, and give me Deuteronomy 7:6. The Lord puts distinctions between people, because the concept of this one nation under God, indivisible, where we got all races coming together and we make one human race, that's an American concept. It's really a Greek concept that America is borrowing, but that's never something that we see the God of the Bible prescribe to any race of people. He makes distinctions. He places some people he considers to be more valuable than others. I'm approved. Watch.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
We read that verse in Genesis where it says we are made in the image of God, right? That we share a lot of his traits or his characteristics, but a part of those traits and characteristics that we share is he shows favoritism the same way that we do. Now we get taught in church that no, he loves everybody the same and he's all for one, he's one for all, and all this all-inclusive teaching. But when we try to compare that same thing and find it here, we see a lot of things that's hard to reconcile and put together. That's hard for both of those things to be true at the same time, right? Because when we look at the history of this same people that he says above all people, well, when they came out from Egypt and came to this wilderness, well, how did they get there? Did the Egyptians just let them go free? What did he do to them people? God killed as many as he wanted to, just to free those people. So this all what they call it omnibenevolent, meaning all loving God. We don't see this thing in the Bible. The Lord shows favoritism, he shows love, he shows anger and hate. We have to be able to accept that this is the God that we serve.
Can I ask you a question, brother?
Absolutely.
I want to hear y'all wisdom
the
on
God that you speak of right now, right?
Yes.
Where does that God come from? And what is the story? What's the creation of that? Everything that's known to be known, if it's known to be, has a creation.
That's what he just told me.
Now that's a fact.
I want to hear y'all wisdom.
That's a fact, brother.
That's not something you could. That's not something you can prove because you weren't.
Well, can you
weren't
answer
there.
that question? Can you answer
You weren't there.
Can you answer that?
My answer to your question is our God doesn't have a start date or nor an end date. He's always exists. That's in his name. That's in his name. He said, I am that I am. What that name means, I exist. I've always existed. That's what true power is. That's what makes a God a God. I don't need no external power to create me. No, I am the source of life and I create.
Right. Okay.
That's what makes him. That's what makes him a power worth serving.
What were he when he did his first creation? Where were he?
Well, what type of question? What type of question is this?
Yeah, that. What type? I'm saying, well, words.
Before.
Being,
Yes, before anything
where
was.
Was it before it made its first creation? Where was it?
There was no it to describe because there weren't anything.
So
that's the point.
Oh, okay.
That's the point. See how simple it is to answer that. It's simple to answer these questions.
No, I'm just saying it was so nothing.
But this is the better question. What do you believe? What philosophy do you subscribe to? Because just based off your questions, I know it's not this book.
Well, it ain't that book. It's a lot of other things that, man, everything in that book. When people say you read the word of God from that book,
What do you subscribe to?
you are reading the word of a man
Yes.
that put every letter, every word that's in that book.
Yes.
Deities don't write books.
So what? So what do you?
Entities don't write books.
Okay, cool. What do you subscribe to or believe in?
Well, brother, like I said, it's very seldom thing that I lay a hardcore belief to. See, I don't really like that belief.
So you don't believe in nothing?
I don't really like that belief. I don't like being in the realm of believing. I'd rather be more in the realm of knowing.
Or knowing?
If it's possible.
Okay, but for you to know it, right, you have to trust in some documentation that you read that another man wrote, right?
That's true.
Okay,
well,
the whole argument of trying to invalidate this book, the whole argument of trying to invalidate this book based off men writing it is foolish. We believe so many things that men write in our entire lives, and all of a sudden when it comes to this book of God, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Stop it. Stop it. It's foolish. It's foolish. It's only for people. I'm gonna tell you, my sister, I'm glad you're here. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of our people that have some type of art against the word of God or art against the Bible, some discrepancy, is because a lot of them lack discipline in their life. I'm gonna be honest. Because this book right here, if you follow it and you read and you follow it to a T, it requires you to live a very strict and disciplined life.
Brother,
a lot of us don't like to do that.
Brother,
huh?
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. And